Hey y'all, welcome to the Uncaped Mama Podcast, your place to shed your superwoman persona and get real about all things mommyhood, finances, relationships, fun, and more. Hey y'all, welcome back. It is episode 2 of the Uncaped Mama Podcast. Thank you so much for all the love on episode 1. I hope you continue to listen, that you continue to find this podcast valuable. In this episode, I want to expand a little bit more on what I was talking about in episode 1, You Are More, and relate that to friendships. So this episode is called You Deserve. Let's get into it. You deserve an adult social life. I'm starting this episode this way because this was a huge lesson for me to learn as a mom. One thing that happened that I didn't expect, I'd heard other moms talk about this, right? But I didn't expect it to happen, was friendships just falling apart. Literally, people who helped plan my baby shower, who were great friends before pregnancy and delivery, just stopped talking to me. And I don't know why. People stopped asking me to hang out. It was hard because for me, I'm like, well, I still have a car. I got babysitters. I can still get around. I can still go to brunch. Like, I still got to eat. I can make arrangements to go out at night. I still like to travel. I still want to go, and do things. I can still text and talk. Where did my friends go? It was hard. It was a realization of, wow, I'd heard other moms talk about this concept, but I didn't think I would experience it in the way that I did. And it was rough. I went into this place of, well, maybe I'm supposed to be at home all the time then. Maybe I'm just supposed to be here with my kids. Maybe I'm supposed to just sit at home, be by myself, or, be with my family inside of the house. Everybody else is going back outside, right, after COVID. Maybe I'm just supposed to take my kid everywhere. Maybe I'm supposed to just hang with my mom. Maybe I'm supposed to just do Sundays, with my man and my son and my daughter. Maybe I'm supposed to just talk to people on video or wait until, friends come to see me. Maybe that is mom life. It was really hard. And then you start to mention how you want to get your nails done. You want to go get your hair done. But you've got kids. They can't go with you. And at the time, my kids were at home with me until I got a nanny. And then, ultimately got my kids in daycare. They needed that social time with other children and things like that. And my nanny was awesome. Is awesome. Still volunteers to just watch my kids. And I am grateful for that. But it was hard because it almost felt like people were making the decision for me. That, oh, she can't go because she's got the kids. Oh, she can't go because maybe she can't find a babysitter. Oh, it might be too much. Oh, she might say no, rather than ask me, invite me, as you always did. We planned everything else, a few weeks in advance. What's happening with this? How come I can't be invited to the house party? And if you don't want kids to be there, right, just say no kids, just like people do at weddings or birthday parties and that sort of thing. I remember my birthday right after having my son. My friend who had also just had a son 2 days before me took me out that night to like a happy hour, and we got food and drinks. And then earlier that day, my best friend, who had already had 3 kids at the time, or 2 kids at the time, she spent most of the day with me for my birthday. And I brought my son there, but that night my friend was like, no, we will leave our kids with my older boys and my husband, and like, we're gonna go out because you need time away from your baby. And it was just a couple hours, and of course you miss him, but it felt good. Honestly, he was, you think about him all the time, that's never going to stop. But I realized the importance of that social time. And it almost seemed like at the time, she and a few other friends were the only ones inviting me to things. And sometimes I would take the kids, and sometimes I felt like, well, these people right now are like my main, like backup babysitters. So if I want to hang with them and I don't want to take the kids, this isn't going to work. It made me really sad, y'all. I still almost don't know how to repair those relationships. And, people say some people are in your life for a reason or a season or a time. And I'm like, wow, I didn't want motherhood to be the reason why I disconnected with these people that I cared about so much, that we've had so many memories, ups and downs and things like that, in careers and moving and working together at different places and COVID and just so many things. I didn't expect them to fall apart simply because there was a new addition to my family. And so that was hard. And then as time continued to go on, I realized I needed to prioritize having a social life because I deserve it. Just like I am more than a mother and my purpose on earth is more than mothering, and I'm always going to be a mother for the rest of my life, I still need adult social time. I still have friends that love me. I have cousins and family members who want to spend time with me, who I want to spend time with. I have people all over the country, and if I think about it, probably all over the world now, depending on where people are, that I would love to see. There are things that I would love to experience, but my kids can't go with me everywhere, and they shouldn't. Every place isn't for kids, right? I enjoy bourbon. I want to go axe throwing. I still haven't been able to go, by the way. I like wineries. I enjoy comedy shows. I like solo travel. I love music and music events, and that's going to be too much, right, for my babies. So I want to have friends who are still interested in those things and want to hang out with me. How I managed that, I had to grieve it. It was a process of grief. I talked to my therapist about it. I journaled about it. I thought about it. I reflected on it. I cried about it. I allowed myself to be confused about it even, because it's confusing. And then I accepted it, that it's potentially unintentional. And I can't change other people's behavior towards me, but I can prioritize relationships that mean a lot to me. And the prioritization of that looks different. It might be check-ins. It might be prayers. It might be sending gifts. Like it sort of looks like whatever it has to be based on the energy and the resources I have. But I can prioritize the relationships and the connections that matter to me. And I got to that place last year with my therapist. It was probably almost exactly a year ago, where I sat down and literally made a list of who are the people who live near me, who are the people I have a close connection with that don't live near me, what plans can I put in place to maintain connections. And I started having more phone calls, more text messages, and being more open to deepening relationships with folks, even one from high school where we're not that close. In high school, we got super close in the last 2 years. And then I had other relationships that blossomed. And I've got 3 people I talk to all day, every day, that I love very deeply, that I have yet to meet in person. But they have accepted me, and we're talking about planning trips, and we're doing all these things, and we're helping with business. I've got another group of friends who, when we have a gathering and the kids can come, we have a cookout or something at the house, bring the kids. And then at night, helping me find a babysitter to go out at night. Sometimes they'll help me plan it. Hey, we know this is coming up in a few weeks. Can you ask your mom? Or how can we help you find a babysitter? And then other times where they are the people who say, just go to sleep. Drop the kids off. You go do whatever you want. Go, because you deserve a social life and you deserve time to do what you want to do, trusting that your children are safe and taken care of, but also that you have the space to be Dom and to do the other things that Dom enjoys. I can't tell you that it is easy to go through the process of planning a social life, especially if you're a spontaneous person. I was already a planner. So being spontaneous and having to think about 2 little kids doesn't come that easily, right? I've got to meal prep and make smoothies for my son, and there's vitamins that we got going on that you got to have multiple sets of clothes, diapers, wipes, all sorts of stuff. We get the tablets got to be charged. You got to make sure people know about Bluey, their bedtimes, the systems, the structures. Those things come intuitively to me, so it's not tough for me to communicate those things at all. But if you're more spontaneous, it could be harder for you to wake up and just go. However, I encourage you sometimes, wake up and just go. Some of those days, take your children. Some of those days, if you got a partner, lead them kids with that partner. With your husband, fiance, boyfriend, sneaky link, like whoever you trust, right? Whoever is in partnership with you. Moms, do that. If they have godparents, aunties, grandparents, ask them, on these days, can you watch the kids? I just need to XYZ. And because you need to. Yes, you may want to, but you also need to. You are better. Because 1, you deserve that. But 2, you can think more clearly. Your social bucket is filled. And your social life is a part of your self-care. You might just go and sit at the park with your friends for an hour and laugh or cry or say nothing. Just being in the presence of somebody else. And you might go to an arcade one day. You might go on a date. You might go to lunch. You might go to your doctor's appointments. You might get a massage. You might go to the gym. There are so many things you can do to take care of yourself in that time. There are times where I've had meetings cancel at work, and I say I'm going to go around the corner and go to brunch by myself. And I'm going to have a mimosa, and I'm going to have a good brunch in this 45 minutes to an hour, and I feel amazing, and I go back home. I went by myself, but I did interact with other adults. There weren't any other children there. My children were, where they needed to be, and they were being taken care of. And I could just think about me and get my adult time cup filled and a little bit of socializing. I'm an introvert, so I don't want to extrovert too much. After that, I'm exhausted. So to be able just to interact with adults without having to think about the needs of my children before mine, which I tend to do. I tend to think about making sure they are completely taken care of before I think about myself. Having those moments where I know I've already taken care of their needs and they are good. They're good with my mom. They're good with their godparents, right? They're good with their aunties or their uncle. They're good with, my other aunts. They're good. No, they're good with my best friend and her family, right? And her kids. They're getting their social cup filled, and so am I. That's good for us, especially in a time coming out of the pandemic. It's still going on, but coming out of the pandemic where we were in such isolation, I think it shifted how people thought about parenting, and it shifted how people thought about your social life, and we switched to doing everything virtually, and then people stopped talking to folks. We need to talk to people. We need to have community. We need adult social time. You deserve that. You deserve a life outside of mothering. You deserve friendship. You deserve a love life. You deserve social time. So I hope that you tap into that, enjoy that, and I hope that this filled your cup. Thank you for tuning in to the Uncaped Mama podcast. Follow me on social media on Instagram, Uncaped Mama and care_bath and body. I hope that you found this episode inspiring, relatable, and impactful. And I hope that this triggers a thought in you to be a better support system to a mama near you. Help her to put down the superwoman persona, to put her cape down, to be whole, to be all that she is destined to be as a mother and more. See you next time.